Hello and welcome to this month's edition of Bullish on Business. This is your host and Certified Master Coach John Randall. We have a lot of great things for you in this video series. We've got a couple of new marketing updates, couple best practices, couple tips that I'll throw out there. We also have top advisor, CAC advisor, our D2 investment guru, Drew Watson, is going to give you an update on what's going on with some of the market volatility, what he's doing, and what he's saying with his clients. He also has some other value to add to help you with your practices and help you grow. So enjoy these videos. We look forward to your upcoming coaching sessions. Everyone stay bullish, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hello and welcome to the Bullish on Business series. I wanted to give you an update of where we are in the market since our last call. We've had continued volatility pretty much across all sectors, sparked by first interest rate fears and now the fears of potential trade and tariff regulations going up on the import of foreign steel and aluminum. Specifically speaking, the 10-year Treasury has continued to remain in a pretty tight range between 2.8 and 2.9%. As of the date of this taping, it's spiked up a little bit to around 2.87. It's anticipated that tomorrow the Fed will raise short-term rates again, and that pretty much, I think, has been priced into the market. Of late, we've had more volatility on the NASDAQ side of things, specifically around Facebook. I think one cautionary tale is a lot of the technology that's in use today has pretty much outstripped the laws that are currently on the books, and maybe or maybe not, this will put some scrutiny on different type of search engines, social media, that there could be tighter controls on what goes on with their internal information that people involved in the social media, users like you and me, have available and what they do with that information. But with that said, the economic fundamentals underpinning the economy continue to be pretty flush. Last week we had a sell-off in the defense sector led by Boeing and Lockheed. Some of that had to do with worries again over the tariffs. Also hit last week was the oil and gas pipeline sector with a ruling from FERC about their inability to continue to write off the ITA expenses that they've been doing in the past. So with that said, what we've seen on the oil patch is oil is back above $63. It's at $63.51 today, up almost $1.50, and continues to remain strongly above 60, but really can't seem to bust back above $65 per barrel. Each piece of information that comes out does show a clear picture that global demand has continued to grow, and I think that puts a pretty good underpinning to the energy space. With that said, kind of one of the performers that's done better this year has been financial stocks, primarily the banks and regional banks as compared to the insurance companies, and this is a trend I really don't have an explanation for why, especially the life insurers have kind of taken such a back seat in performance to the banks, but that is something that's happened. On the fixed income front, longer duration investments have had negative performance for the year, as could be expected with rates moving up. And one of the things I think most people have looked at is some type of floating rate issue, convertibles. Preferreds have held up a little bit better than just traditional bonds because I think some of the rates were there. But definitely, we feel like you should be looking at shorter term maturities as opposed to anything else when it comes to your general fixed income space. One area that's held up very well has been the inflation protected bonds. As of the date of this taping, looking at the fund that we use, it's been positive for the year. I think some of that's owed to the general consensus that inflation is kind of creeping into the picture. And I think it's important to discuss with clients that, especially if the clients are of a certain age and they hear inflation, they kind of back up and they think about, gasoline shortages and everything that happened in the 70s. But a small amount of inflation is the grease in the gears of our economy. There's no doubt about it. We have to have that with general and steady price increases. So that in and of itself is a good thing. Eventually, it will probably blossom into something that's not as good, but those days, I think, certainly are ahead of us. But it does appear that volatility has returned. The international space, volatilities continue to be there as well. Europe sometimes follows us. But more importantly, I think we need to be watching with a wary eye of what's going on in China. Recent reports have it that total bank assets in China are approaching a number that is almost half of what the entire globe's GDP figure is. The chart on this is pretty amazing to behold, and frankly, it's probably not sustainable. To put it in perspective, that same figure in the U.S. is 22% of world GDP, and Japan 13%. So, in essence, you would think the Chinese, their economy is growing fast, but they should not be at a space where they have almost 2.5 times the amount of loans on the books that the United States does. So this will be something that we will continue to watch with bated breath, and this also comes right on the heels of the election of their premier. Let's see his name, Xi Jinping, for life as president there. So both those items are probably disturbing for the long-term trend, but I don't think those are kind of front and foremost right now. Mainly what we see is the world is kind of watching Donald Trump to see what's going to come out of his mouth next, what goes on in Washington, D.C. Most of that, the majority of it, does not affect the underpinnings of our environment. People continue to do pretty well for themselves. We do think that most of the corporations will see the impacts of the tax cuts come out, truthfully, probably second, third quarter, as first quarter numbers probably didn't have anything really in the soup, so to speak. Also, full and fair guidance from the IRS has been hard to find, and therefore probably after tax season, the IRS will get busy on issuing their final regulations on all this stuff so people can have an idea how much savings will truly be there. That also goes into play that the individuals out there probably won't see the fruits of this labor really until we get out into next year and they file their taxes. But by and large, I do feel like the stage is set for a pretty decent year in the stock market. Fixed income market would struggle, as indicated by a higher rate environment. That also means probably real estate traditionally would struggle as well. And I think you just want to stay on your toes and continue to watching for your clients where the best place to keep their dollars invested. Do not sleep on the international aspect of this global rally, as rates in Europe and Japan should be lower for longer than they are here, and that's what we keep telling our clients, and that's what they keep hearing consistently. I think other places too. With that, you have a wonderful week. Today's marketing moment: how to take the new tax plan and bring in cash. Also, how to deepen your relationships with your best clients and go multi-generational. That's a buzzword. Like last year, the buzzword was like a Tesla car that doesn't use gas, it uses electricity, which is also generated from coal-burning power plants, but that's another story. Let's go to taxes. Probably one of the best ways to go deeper with your multi-generational relationships would be to discuss with your top clients whether their children or grandchildren have kids of their own. Specifically speaking, I think probably the best uncovered gem in this tax packet is the expanded child tax credits. In previous years, that tax credit was phased out by, I think, around a dollar limit that's easily exceeded by most middle income earners, and the new limit is a whopping $400,000 in income for married filing joint people, $200,000 for individuals. The tax credit is $2,000 per child. So to put this into perspective, if you have a person that's in the $100,000 range, that would be the 22% bracket, marginal rate bracket for them. So basically, for every $2,000 tax credit, it's essentially like earning almost $10,000 without having to put any taxes on it. Just in, we have a caller. Hello, Burns. You're getting a great refund. We're doing a live taping, so I'll tell you about your tax credit next. We're back. But to put this in perspective, for the average family earning about $100,000 a year, a $2,000 tax credit would be essentially earning roughly $10,000 and not having any tax liability. So you put this on approximately, 2 children. That's $4,000. You get the expanded, standard deduction, and all of a sudden, probably a $100,000 person that was paying $10,000 in income taxes pays less than $5,000. So the marketing piece here is understand these rules, understand with your top clients who would qualify, and with your older top clients, which grandchildren would potentially qualify and their children. This will be an opportunity to get you in front of them if they've been haven't been able to get with them or develop a relationship with them. Also, you want to go ahead and get on the front end of where this money is going to go, because most of the information that's come out from major employers, all they know is at the end of January, first part of February, their paycheck changed, and that paycheck changed around the new tax withholding schedule. But around that same time every year, people have introduced other benefit plans, and they may not have noticed their pay changing at all as, say, their health insurance went up or other expenses came in there. But they want to look at what this tax credit can do for them, because not all $2,000 is refundable, only $1,400 of the credit is. So you want to work with them closely on working on their withholdings so they keep more of what they make, maybe come in right at the skin of their teeth when it comes time for filing, but they've saved about, literally $100 a week or $5,200 a year if they have 2 kids off their tax bill. These are dollars that can be put back for anything, for building a cash reserve, providing protection planning, putting money back for their retirement, or putting money back for their children's college. So I also create urgency by letting them know, and most people agree, these tax cuts probably won't be around long. I know that they're on the books now, but the way things look in the U.S. environment, there may be a sea change in Washington come the next presidential election, if not sooner in the midterm election, and that leaves me wanting to instruct my clients and prospects. Now is the time to take action, and we can always go back and change things later if the law changes. So this in and of itself is a pretty big deal. The other piece you could use for marketing for retirees that already have a big nest egg is the misconception out there is this tax cut is for super rich people or for people just with kids. Our back of the napkin math, as kind of most retirees have walked in here, we're seeing tax savings of anywhere between $800 to $2,200 per retiree, depending on their situation and their income. But in essence, they get a little bit bigger standard deduction, even by losing 2 exemptions than what they had previously, and the tax rates are lower. I think most people like this simplified method of doing their taxes, and very few tax preparation places are doing here's what your taxes would have been in 2017 under the new laws. People like to see that. It's a very referable moment because it's easy when they go out to dinner with their best friends. Hey, our financial advisor sat down and just took us through what our taxes would have been last year if the new laws would have been on the books. That is an easy referable moment. You can capture some dollars there. Those are 2 marketing ideas for you. Go out and get some business. We hope you have a wonderful Passover and Easter, and we'll see you in April.
Welcome to this video on some marketing and client acquisition tips and best practices. This is Certified Master Coach John Randall, and I'm excited to share with you some great things, some great items, and one of my favorite topics on client acquisition. So we'll talk about 2 areas. One is leveraging your advocates a little bit more and getting their buy-in, and the other is on what you can do with clients that are retired. So in a lot of coaching sessions, I've talked to a lot of advisors about their advocates, about how to go deeper with them. If you haven't seen or read my book, Attract More Clients, Better Clients, please let me know. Happy to send you out a free copy of it. But I talk about these concepts in there, but want to take it one step further. The next level for you on generating more referrals from your great advocates. So your quickest path to the next good new client is through your advocates, the people who are already referring you, and working with them on ways to make it easier for them to refer you is really the key here. So when you work with them and ask for their help on how can you make it easy for them to refer people to you, what happens when you ask them for help and you implement their ideas, they get some buy-in on the process. And I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a great client you love, they refer a lot of great people that they happen to work with. So you work with them on, hey, what's the best ways to work with, or what's the best ways to me to get introduced to people you work with? And you brainstorm together, you ask for their help to come up with ideas. And they came up with an idea. They said, you know, every other Thursday, we all go out for happy hour. It would be so great if you came with us. I could introduce you to everybody. Or on Fridays, we happen to go to lunch. It'd be so great if you could come with us. You know, I could introduce you. So if they come up with this idea and you help put this on, you help arrange for this to happen, that's the best way to meet people because the client had the idea. You're implementing it. You may pick the place, the restaurant or bar to get together for happy hour. You may, with the client, select, hey, where should we have lunch? I'll set it up. I'll host it. We'll have fun. We'll have a nice meal. But their buy-in is key because now it's their idea. You're putting it on. They're going to have the highest likelihood to actually bring people. I think a mistake a lot of advisors make when it comes to marketing is they just put a lot of things on and they hope people attend. And a lot of advisors do pretty well with that. But the problem is if the clients don't have buy-in to bring new people, that is the gap. People wanting to come themselves is one thing, but people helping with what you do, people giving you suggestions, people having some ownership on what it is that you're going to implement because it was their idea, that is the next level of turning advocates into true referral machines. If you can make it easier for them to refer, you get them involved as a owner in what you're going to do, this can really crank on the referrals at a whole nother level. So think about your advocates. Do they have true ownership of what you're doing? Have they completely bought in? Are they going to take what you're doing and run with it and fuel people to the things the activities you have going on? That's a critical question to ask yourself. Are they 100% bought in? Do you think they're bought in, or are they really, really bought in? So go back to those advocates, give them an extra touch, talk to them about this. Can you make it easy? Go back to the ideas they had, implement them, and make sure that they're involved and giving advice, and make sure you follow their advice and put it on. Huge way. The advisors that I see doing this are just killing it with referrals. They're bringing in lots of new clients, and they're bringing in lots of good clients, not small ones, not middle ones. They're bringing people at the top of their book, which is the key. Duplicating that top part of your book, that top 100, that top 10%, that's where we want to be acquiring people. You know, a lot of practices acquire people in the middle of their book. We want to shift and attract people at the very, very top. So make sure your advocates have ownership. Now, another struggle I've heard advisors talk about is, gosh, well, Mike, a really good advocate retired. They don't have access to all the people anymore. And the referral stream stopped because you helped them retire. So a great strategy with these people is find a way to get some kind of reunion going for the people that they used to work with. And it could be something fun, something just to get them together. It could be as simple as lunch or coffee, or it could be as grand as going bowling, or do some activity that the co-workers and the retired person that they enjoy. Just get them together. Find a way for your client to get back together with the old crew. It's a great way to keep the connections going, and you probably can gain access to other potential referrals. Now, this works best if you've got a pool of people that all work at the same place. If you can have multiple clients that work together in some kind of reunion like this, that can kind of spur a group of owner advocates who could really fuel a nice group of people together and have some fun. So there could be a mix of people that are retired, people that are still working. But a lot of times, the clients that are working, they want to be like the client that is retired. So getting that mix together of people who are retired, there's still opportunities getting referred there if you can get a reunion together. But if you can get some people that are still working there, they want to be like your retired clients, and you obviously help them get there. So working with you, connecting with you probably makes sense. So some great new things. Hope those help. I look forward to hearing about your results with these. I see these working with some other advisors. So please reach out to me. If you need a copy of my book, please reach out to me about these strategies. We look forward to seeing you at upcoming D2 events. Everyone stay bullish, stay strong, and let's acquire some clients. Think big. Take care.